Do you hear me properly? Okay, cool. Just one moment, huh? Okay. So hello everyone. We will start our webinar now, and as usual, I'll be discussing the 28 pairs again from AUD CAD to USDJPY. Some movements last week and some possible trades for this week. That's the trades that I will talk about for today. I've just started now when the market is open, so at least we could check what's the possible pairs too that we could take for this week. So at first, let's start with the AUD CAD. One moment. So let's check first the movement for last week. As we can see, the for D1 time frame, the overall market trend for D1 is a buy. So we will be only looking for buy signals. On H4, as we can see, it was around February 5 until uh, first 3 days of last week, which is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I guess. So let's put a rectangle here or a square so you would see when was this buy signal has. So for buy, as we can see at H1 time frame, there are some buy signals around February 22. This is Monday, I guess. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday up to Thursday last week. So let's check this out. As we can see, there is a buy signal at around Wednesday. So we would be plotting our Fibonacci from Monday to Wednesday that day. Or maybe it's around here. So as usual, our TP would be the highest, the 100 Fibonacci. And as we can see, the closing candle for AUD CAD is above 61.8. That's why, as usual, we would be plotting our buy limit at 50 Fibonacci, which is around here. Or if you prefer, or either 38.2 Fibonacci. So if we take the trade at 50 Fibonacci, we would have a TP, which is this is Monday. Our TP would be last Thursday, which be around 32.4 pips. If you enter that 38.2 Fibonacci, it would be around 41.3 pips. So one moment, let me check if there are some people asking on Facebook. So that's around, once again, for 38.2 Fibonacci, it's around 40 pips. So next one is AUDCHF for the D1 time frame. As we can see, the general trend is buy since November. For H4, it was buy until this is around the uh, closing of on Friday. So let's put facts here for AUDCHF. Then on AUDCHF, the buy signal, as we can see, there is no buy signal at around this week, at around last week on AUDCHF. So there is no trade for AUDCHF. One moment, huh? Have you had? Oh yeah, yeah. One moment. I'm chatting with other members. Let me fix something. Manage group. One moment, everyone. I'm just fixing the live the Facebook live right now. Just one moment. One moment, everyone. Okay, let's continue. So for AUDJPY, let me remove the Fibonacci level so it will be a little bit clear. Oh, some of my trades can be seen here. Let me, because I'm running a different expert advisor here actually. Anyway, let's just continue. So for D1, one moment again. So for AUDJPY, for the D1 time frame, as we can see, the general trend is a buy. For H4, the buy signal would be only around here. Around here. So for H1, let's check H1. Oh, let me remove this. So it would be around, if you would plot the Fibonacci level, actually it would be like this. One moment, I'll change the account because some lines. Let's use this demo. Sorry about that. So let's continue. Oh, so for AUDJPY, the general trend is a buy for D1. For H4, the trend for the first 4 days of last week was a buy too. It only changed on a sell uh, last Friday. So for H1, let's see. You would see that the buy signal here on Tuesday, and if you would plot the Fibonacci, it would be like this. So as we can see, the 50 Fibonacci is around here. So there would be no trade on AUDJPY. On AUDNZD, the general trend for AUDNZD is a buy. On H4, it was a buy only around this time, but actually on H1, I know there is no trade. Yeah. But actually, if we would check this thoroughly, let's check it. Around this time, this was still a buy on around Monday. So if we would check, last Friday, last Friday, this was February 19, there was still a buy signal here. So if you guys have a buy signal during this time, the Fibonacci level would be like this. So let me remove this now. So if you have a last week, Friday, you would have enter a buy signal on a Monday. And this would be the 50 Fibonacci. The 38.2 Fibonacci would be around here. So on Monday, last week, you would have at least the 100 pips, the 100 Fibonacci, you would have at least 26 pips take profit on AUDNZD. If it's on 38.2, no, 38.2 won't be hit. It's almost there, but 38.2 Fibonacci is not hit. So only on 50 Fibonacci, which is 26 pips on AUDNZD. Am I right? Is it NZD? Yes, on AUDNZD. So let's go on AUD USD. The general trend again for AUD USD is buy, as we can see, last month. On H4, it was buy until, I guess this is until Wednesday. So this is the buy signal for AUD USD. For H1, there is no buy actually. This was only February 18, which is 2 weeks ago. So this was TP actually, 2 weeks ago, AUD USD. But for now, there is no trade for AUD USD. As of now, we should wait for this to cross again. As we can see, it's still the gap is still big. So let's wait until this would change to, or these two lines would cross, and we would have a signal on H4 and H1. So for CAD CHF, as of now, the signal is buy. The general trend is buy since last month, around January. On H4, it was buy actually. It was a buy since 2 weeks ago. On H1, let's check H1. Actually, this would be the graph for last week. This is the buy for last week. If we would graph it, the Fibonacci is here, the 50 Fibonacci, which is not hit, so there is no trade for CAD CHF. But actually, for this week, as you can see, CAD CHF is on the is a sell on H1, but buy on H4 and D1. And for now, we should wait for this to cross. As we can see, the two lines are almost crossing. And for now, we should only wait for this to cross and enter a buy. But if we would plot our Fibonacci level, it would be like this. It would be like this. There it goes. So for now, we would wait for CAD CHF to have a buy signal. If it's below, as long as the price is below 0.71983 for this week, we could enter a buy signal on CAD CHF, and our TP would be here. Would be here at 72.735. So at least we would have a take profit of around 75 pips for this week. But for now, let's wait for a buy signal on CAD CHF. At least the two lines are almost crossing by now. So let's just wait for CAD CHF. For CAD JPY, let's check what happened first last week. Then let's see how it goes for us this week. General trend for CAD JPY is buy since November. For H4, it was still buy like for the whole month of February, it was buy. For H1, let's check for some possible entries on H1. So there was a buy signal on Tuesday. This was Tuesday last week. And we would plot our Fibonacci. It would be like this. So there was our buy limit, or it would be our 50 Fibonacci, would be around 83.520. Actually, if you would check the buy signal last Tuesday, it was above 61.8. So we won't be entering the CAD JPY immediately. We should wait for 50 Fibonacci, which was hit actually at 83.520. So our TP would be around 100 Fibonacci as usual. So it would be here. So we would at least made a profit of 42 pips, or around 42 pips for CAD JPY last Wednesday, because the TP was on Wednesday already. You would enter on Wednesday and have a profit at the same day of 42 pips. So for this week, let's check it again. For this week, the general trend is on H4 is still a buy, and as we can see, the CAD JPY signal already reversed like a sell here. So for now, we would wait for these two lines to cross again and give us a buy signal. Then we would enter a trade on CAD JPY for this week. And if we would plot our Fibonacci for today, it would be like this. So as long as if ever that there would be a buy signal for CAD JPY on H1 today, our Fibonacci would be like this. So as long as it's still below 50 Fibonacci level, which is this one, 84.339. As long as it's below, the price is below 84.339, and it gave us a buy signal on H1 today, we would enter the trade immediately for CAD JPY. This is actually a good setup already because it's already below 50 Fibonacci, and RTP would be at least 75.6 pips. But for now, let's wait for a buy signal on a CAD JPY. We still need a confirmation for H1 time frame. So one moment, if my trades can be seen here. So let's go for CHF JPY. The general trend for CHF JPY is buy since I guess this is December 1. For H4, it was only buy a few days ago. This was around Friday actually. So if on H1, let's plot the Fibonacci level for CHF JPY. Be like this. Around, this was 2 days ago, so it would be up to here. So actually, as we can see, CHF JPY, there was there was actually a buy already, as we can see here, but it became sell again a few minutes ago. So once this was a sell like 3 hours ago. So once there is a buy again on CHF JPY and still below 50, because as we can see, it's below 50 already. And once the buy signal came out again, we can enter the trade on CHF JPY already, which be at least around 55 pips TP for CHF JPY. So next one, EUR AUD. General trend for EUR AUD was sell. One moment. Let me remove the Fibonacci levels. CHF JPY was sell until last first week of November, and still sell for now. But on H4, it was a buy already on Monday. So let's check first if there's a trade for last week. Let me put the rectangle again here. And on H1, so EUR AUD sell. We would plot our Fibonacci level, would be like this. Be around here. Then let's delete this one. So actually there was no signal for EUR AUD sell last week because it is more than 50 Fibonacci. So for this week, EUR AUD, there's no still trade. We still need wait for either this one would become a buy, or on H4, or there's no trade yet for this one, or at least H4 would change. But as we can see, the AUD is very weak on H4. It's the weakest for this week actually. So most likely we would only be looking for sells on AUD pairs. One moment, someone chatted. Okay. So EUR CAD, the general trend for EUR CAD was sell. On H4, it was a buy last Friday. So let's check for possible sell signals for last week. H1 would be like this. There is a sell here actually last week. So if you would plot it from here, it would be like this. So the 50 Fibonacci is around this point, around here, and the price is already below 61.8, above 61.8. So there is no trade for EUR CAD, and for this week there's still no clear trade if we would enter EUR CAD anytime soon, because as we can see, we still need to wait for this to be a sell and for this to be a sell. For EUR CHF, let's check EUR CHF. General trend for EUR CHF for the month of February, this is around last week of February, was a buy. So on H4, let's check for H4. It was buy since last week. On H1, it was a very long buy since February 17 for H1. So for this week on EURCHF, we only need to wait for this to become a buy, for H1 to give us a buy signal. Once there's a buy signal for this week, we could enter trade EURCHF soon. And our Fibonacci for today would be like this. So as we can see, EURCHF is below 38.2 or even below 50 pips, 50 Fibonacci. So once this signal change, or once these two lines crossed and give us a buy signal on H1, we could enter EURCHF for today. So let's go for EURGBP. D1, the general trend for EURGBP is a sell. For H4, it changed last Friday, but it was sell for the first few days of first few days last week. So this was Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and as we can see, there was a sell signal around this time, but I guess this is about 50 Fibonacci level, and we couldn't enter EURGBP that time. So yeah, there is no proper trade for EURGBP. So let's go for EURJPY. So for D1, the general trend for EURJPY is buy. For H4, it was buy like few days ago, and on H1 it would be buy too. I guess I posted the signal last week on our Telegram group, so I guess the signal is around this time. So if you would plot our Fibonacci level, it would be like this. One moment. It would be like this. No, up to here. Yes, up to here. So there was a buy signal around this time at 50 Fibonacci. So if we hold our trade, we would make profit of around 37 pips for EURJPY. Today, this is only EURJPY. It's actually, one moment everyone, let me analyze it. Yeah, but for H1, let's make it more simple. For H1, it would be like this. So our TP is around 38 pips for EURJPY. For this time, yeah, even if you enter this trade actually for Monday, the Fibonacci level for Monday would be like this up to here. So it would still hit the Fibonacci level at this point. So yeah, it's still a profit for EURJPY. On EURNZD, let's go for general trend of EURNZD. It was sell since October. So for H4, we would only looking for sell signals. At the first days of it was a sell. So let's plot it like this. Let's put a rectangle around this time. Around this point. One moment. So let's check on H1, the sell signal, or on H1, this one. But unfortunately, I know there's no trade on EURNZD, because if we would plot it, the Fibonacci level would be from here. No. I plot it wrong. Would be here up to here, and the sell signal is around here, and the Fibonacci level, the 50 Fibonacci level, is at this point. So there is no entry for us on EURNZD last week. So for this week, still not obvious if we could enter EU or NZD anytime soon, because H4 and H1 are still on buy signals, and D1 is on the opposite signal, which is sell. So let's still wait for EU or NZD. For EU or USD, let's check EU or USD. EU or USD general trend is a sell. So for H4, it only changed at the last hour of last week. So for now, we would looking only for sell signals on EU or USD. So it was sell already here too since last week, since last Friday. So we would only waiting for another sell signal here. Once it gave us a buy signal and another sell signal on H1, and it's below 50 Fibonacci, then we can enter EU or USD for this week. However, for last week, let's check last week. Yeah, there is no trade on last week for EU or USD. So only for now, for this week, I guess we could enter EU or USD this week. Once H1 signal would give us another sell signal, but first it would change to buy. It will go up a bit and then a sell. So once there's a sell signal on EU or USD, we can enter EU or USD soon. So for GBP AUD, general trend is buy since last January. So this is a bit complicated, but let's check if there is a buy signal on H4. On H4, it would be here up to here. Those are the only buys on a short time frame. So on H1 it was buy until this time, but actually the H4 we could the entry for GBP AUD then is on H4 time frame. So if we would plot the 50 Fibonacci for GBP AUD, it would be like this. But actually this is a little bit more complicated, because if you enter on a H4 signal for GBP AUD, it would be like this. It would be here. No, it would be here. The 50 Fibonacci. So since the closing candle is above 50 Fibonacci already, if we would enter the GBP AUD for H4 time frame, the 50 Fibonacci is at 1.78849. But actually, our strategy would make us close on H4 time frames. But for me, actually, personally, if I would analyze GBP AUD trade, I could still hold my trade actually, because I know since our like 2 weeks ago when we were discussing our webinar, GBP AUD is really strong, and GBP, especially GBP pairs, are really strong since 2 weeks ago that we are having our webinar. And for me, it's actually, if you could really take trades, or you could really take negative trades and just simply hold it, this GBP AUD pair would be profit for you. But usually what I'm only teaching is for people for a simpler for much simple techniques. That's why I'm telling you to exit at H4. So if you actually exit at H4 and it's almost at 0 Fibonacci, you would have lost 140 pips. One moment, I can. So actually, if for our technique, the one that I'm teaching is for users, and I'm just teaching the much simple technique, we would be negative 140 pips. But for some valid reasons, for me, it's still valid actually, personally, because GBP pairs are really strong. I know on our EURJPY last week, it seems goes that story. That's why I'm telling you the simplest way is if it's still inside or above 0 Fibonacci, you can still hold your trades. Or if H4 was on a different signal, like here it became sell around this time last week, you could already exit the trade. But since I know that GBP pairs are really strong, for me it's a valid signal, and you can still hold your trade. So if ever someone there hold your trade and you became negative, because you will hold your trade for at least a negative almost 200 pips. But if you manage to hold it, you would take profit at least 140 pips for on 100 Fibonacci. This is the reason why I'm telling all users to have a proper money management. Because if you don't imagine, if you don't have any proper money management and you saw a negative 200 pips and you wanna close it already, then it's so bad because the first one here is the stress level. Most traders would feel so stressed and won't be able to hold trades anymore because they can't decide properly. But as I'm always saying, proper money management is very important so we can take proper decisions for this kind of trade. Because as you can see, it reversed. It's still this was let's check it on H1 time frame. Because around Tuesday it reversed, and then on Wednesday it's already going sell, but we are on a buy. But because we know that GBP is really strong, um, for some reason I know we can really hold this trade, the GBP pairs. For GBP CAD, let's check for GBP CAD. I know most GBP pairs last week have reversed. So for H4, again for D1 time frame, as we can see, all three signals for this week is buy, because the general trend for GBP CAD since last week is buy, and H4 is only buy a few days ago. But there was also a sell for GBP CAD actually since last week. So let's plot it first. Let's check it out. So this would be the backs for GBP CAD H12. There was a buy here, as we can see, around this time. This was a Monday. So if you would plot our Fibonacci, I know this is not valid because it's above 50 Fibonacci. So yeah, this one is above 50 Fibonacci. So there is no trade for GBP CAD last week. The same as GBP CHF. I know GBP CHF. Yes, there was no trade for GBP CHF for a very long time. It was the only buy signal on H1 was last Friday. So let's check for GBP CHF anyway. So there was a buy on GBP CHF. The general trend is buy. On H4 it was still buy 2 here. On GBP CHF it was buy last Friday. So actually we should have already have a buy signal or a buy trade on GBP CHF. So it would be, our Fibonacci would be like this then. As we can see, it is below 38.2, 50 Fibonacci. Actually, as you can see, I don't have any trades here on GBP CHF because this is just a demo account that I'm showing you, just for the chart to be a lot cleaner. So but however, on your live account, you could already enter a buy here on GBP CHF. If you are late on the signal, which is around this point, which is around here at 1.26765, because this is our valid entry since last Friday, and you can enter the GBP CHF already. But if you didn't manage to enter GBP CHF last Friday, it's still valid for until today. So today, for all my viewers and for all that's here on webinar, you can take a buy now on GBP CHF. As in it's now because it's below 50 pips, and your TP would be around here at 150 Fibonacci. So at least for those who trade last Friday, you would have a target profit of 220 pips. And for those who are watching us right now live, a little less than 200 pips. That's your target profit for GBP CHF. So this is valid entry for everyone for today. So for GBP JPY, the general trend is buy. On H4, it was buy. So on H1, the same as GBP CHF, the buy signal was last week. But let's check if it's on our 50 Fibonacci. So our 50 Fibonacci would be like this. So it's still below 50 pips. So for those who enter since Friday, you are around positive 18 pips as of today. And since, as we can see, the current price of GBP JPY is below 50 Fibonacci, you could enter the GBP JPY now. And the target or profit would be the 100 Fibonacci, which is here. So our profit would be around, so this is the signal that we have for last week. Around 170 pips profit for GBP JPY. And those who are just enter GBP JPY now, which is valid now, 158 pips, around a little less than 160 pips. So you could enter GBP JPY now too. So for GBP NZD, let's check GBP NZD. I know this is a bit complicated to last week. So let's analyze GBP NZD. So for D1, the general trend is buy. So for H4, there was some few buys last week. Let's put it here because I know I gave this signal last week. So on H1, as we can see, there was a buy signal around this point of GBP NZD. One moment, I have to check something. Let's check it like this. Yes, it was still below around. This is the 50 Fibonacci on H4. But for H1, to make it more simple, because H1 is still the 50 Fibonacci on H1, I know is still is possible. So this is the 50 Fibonacci for H1. So as you can see, it is below a 50 Fibonacci for H1 here. This is here, and this is the buy signal for H1. Our RTP would be here actually, but last week, unfortunately, GBP NZD reversed, and as we can see, it reversed from here. This is our point of entry. One moment. This is our point of entry. It reversed up to more than 300 pips last Friday, but that same day it moved. The GBP NZD became very crazy since last Friday. It is a range of 350 pips, as we can see, because if you hold your trade for GBP NZD, you would be a bit you would only be a bit negative, like hello. You guys can hear me? Is it fine now? Hello, everyone. Okay, let's continue. For GBP NZD, actually, this is the one I said actually. But last week I told you to exit here on H4, which is around this point, and on our on our simple strategy, we would be negative around 170 pips last week. So most of our trades that are positive would just almost around break even this time on GBP NZD. We were really hit by GBP NZD. But actually, if you guys have managed to hold your trades, because we know that GBP is a really strong pair, or GBP is a really strong for quite long now. You are only around holding it for negative 20 pips. Actually, also became positive last Friday, the same day it went really so crazy. But this is really part of trading. That's why I always keep on saying the proper money management. It's really important to have a proper money management, because if you don't have money management here, you could really have a big loss already. But if you have proper money management, you can still hold your trades like this. Even the market gone crazy, you can hold your trades, and there is a reason for you to hold your trades, even it looks negative or it looks so bad. And because as we know, pairs are really crazy, especially for GBP pairs. The market range or the market prices for GBP pairs are really big, because as we can see, GBP NZD, the range only for Friday, it moved like 350 pips within a day. And this is part of GBP pairs. Once we take GBP pairs, we should expect crazy movements or big, sometimes big losses and big wins too on GBP and on GBP pairs. Just like today, uh, most of the trades today for GBP are more than 100 pips or almost 200 pips, because that's how crazy GBP pairs are. That's why sometimes the winning trades are not the important ones, but how we handle our losing trades too. Because if you don't have proper money management here and you're taking big risk, it's too stressful, and most likely you will get burned with only one trade, or at least 10% or 20% lost already within just one trade if you don't have proper money management. That's why it's very important to take it slowly, just to have little gains. As long as we are as long as we are positive within the week, it's all fine. But with the strategy that I'm telling you, we are just around break even for last week actually. But if you hold your trades, you would still be positive, because even GBP pairs reverse on H4, we know the general trend of GBP is buy, and GBP pairs really are crazy moving pairs. That's why we should expect those kind of movement on GBP pairs, but not all of the time. But because most of the time, as we know, the market is with us, and we can ride a trend on GBP pairs, but it's not always the same as that. It's not every week it's gonna be like that. There will be rough weeks, but as I'm always saying, as long as our overall gains is positive, it's fine. Just don't expect it to be always good, but only expect it that our trades with the would be overall good, not just a one-time trade. It's forex trading is not just about one-time trade and instant reach. You should take it slowly. That's why money management is very important. So next one for GBP USD, the general trend for this pair is buy. On H4, it became sell last Friday, and as of now, until now, it's still sell. It's the only GBP pair that is a sell on H4 actually. But if you would plot the GBP USD, if you would check GBP USD since last week, it's gonna be like this. Or just let me put a line here. So on H1, as we can see, this was still a buy. And if we would plot our Fibonacci level, it would be like, yeah, it would be like this. Am I right? 1, 2. Yeah, it would be like this. So for the past 2 days. So this is H1. So for H4, one moment. Yes, H4, H1. So as of now, if we entered last week on GBP USD, actually, let's check the H4, which is the exit, which is around here. Yes. So on H1, we would be negative here actually, which is almost 200 pips for GBP USD. But for me, if you guys are still holding this one, let me check. Yeah, the general trend for GBP USD actually on D1 time frame is still a buy. So if ever you can still hold your trade, for me it's still possible. But if you guys can't hold it anymore, you can just exit and just wait for more GBP pairs, because as we can see, most of the GBP pairs right now are giving us a buy signal, and it's really a valid signal for me because GBP is really strong. Let's even check H1. As we can see, it's 88.1 on H1 for GBP, and it's really strong. Compared to AUD and NZD, even we know that these pairs are strong already. AUD and NZD, GBP is more than double actually. So GBP pairs are still very strong, especially on D1 time frame. But because we are checking D1 time frame, this might take longer for buy signals. Because on H4 USD, this is the thing on USD. If you can't hold it anymore, you can. Oh, wait. If you can't hold anymore on USD, you can already exit, because as we can see, USD is very strong. Uh, GBP is only next to it for H4 time frame. But for me, GBP is still strong and still valid. But if ever you don't want to hold this trade anymore and just focus on other trades, that would still be fine. Because for today, as we discussed, GBP, no, GBP CHF and GBP JPY are already valid signals for us to enter for today. So the next one is USD Cad D1 time frame. D1 is a buy signal on USD Cad. On H4, it was buy like a few days ago. So let's put it here. It only became sell for this week for NZD CAD, because the next hour, the next H4 time frame, this might be sell already. So let's check for H1. So it was buy for this whole week, and let's plot the Fibonacci level. So if you would plot our Fibonacci level for NZD CAD, it would be like this. Yeah, because this is the second day already. This was the first day, like 2 days ago. Oh yeah, because 2 days ago actually it won't be hit, but since it entered a new day already here, you can also change it here for the next day, because the signal was actually Tuesday, and we would plot the Fibonacci level on Friday and Monday. But for the next day, we can still see that buy signal on NZT CAD is valid. You can move your Fibonacci level for the next day, and for the next day it would be like this. So the entry for NZD CAD is 44 pips TP for NZD CAD. So for this week, as we can see, H4 and D1 is buy on NZD CAD, and for now we just need to wait for a buy signal on NZD CAD on H1, and our Fibonacci level for this week for NZD CAD is like this. And as of now, NZD CAD is below 50 Fibonacci. It's still below 50 Fibonacci, and once it gave us a buy signal on NZD CAD, you guys can enter the trade already, because this is a good setup for this week NZD CAD. So we could at least have around 100 pips take profit for NZD CAD. Most of our trades are targeting 100 pips for this week. Most of the pairs have a good setup for our strategy this week. So that's how trading really works. Sometimes there could be a bad week, but sometimes there could be really, really good weeks. Because as we can see, most of our webinars mostly are positive, but for last week it was it could have gone wrong. That's why money management is a part of it. Just don't take too much just don't take too much risk for you to guys have more profit, but always think how you would handle your losses. That's why money management is part of it, and losses are really part of trading. So for the next one, NZD-CHF, I know there was no trade for H1 since for last week, because the last buy signal on NZD-CHF is February 17, and for this week we will only be discussing for this week. D1 is buy, and as we can see, H4 is buy since last week. So NZD-CHF has a good setup too. So once there is a buy here on NZD-CHF, this would change to a buy signal. We could enter NZD-CHF already, and the Fibonacci level for NZD-CHF would be like this. It's like this. So as we can see, it is below 50 Fibonacci, the current level, but unfortunately it was still sell. So once these two lines cross, which is very near now, it might be, I hope, or I guess, this day or the next day or on Tuesday, it would cross already. So once the cross showed and it's below 50 Fibonacci, which is the price is 0.6679, once it's below that price, we can enter NZD-CHF for this week. There is really a lot of setup for this week. So for NZD-JPY, let's check for last week first. General trend until now is buy for D1 time frame. For H4, it was buy for more than 2 weeks now. On H1, let's check H1. This was the only buy signal actually, but it's not in the 50 Fibonacci level for last week. It's above 61.8 Fibonacci, and between 61.8 and 100 Fibonacci. But for this week, let's check the setup for this week. This is the Fibonacci level for this week that we would be using for today, I mean, and it's below 50 Fibonacci too. So this is NZD-JPY for this week is or for today is still a good setup. And once this pair crossed here, it would be good for a buy signal for NZD-JPY. But actually, let's check JPY, because I know JPY is really strong. Really weak. I mean, yeah, JPY is really weak. The general trend for H4 and D1, especially D1, is the weakest. So if it's weak, most likely it would go up. But let's check. Yes. So yeah, NZD-JPY could still be valid once this once this pair crossed, because on H1 it's still positive on JPY, but the general trend is a negative here on JPY and negative here. And as we all know, NZD is getting strong for for D1 time frame. So it's a valid signal. It's NZD-JPY could be a really good signal, because our possible profit, if ever it does a buy, yeah, at least still less than 200 pips take profit for NZJPY. But let's just wait for it or not. The smallest TP that we can get is 110 pips for NZJPY. Next one is NZD-USD. D1 time frame is a buy signal for NZD-USD. One moment, let me remove this one. Fibonacci levels. So for H4, it was a sell already for this week. So there is no possible trades as of now for NZD-USD because USD have reversed a bit. So for H1, there is no trade for last week on H1. So let's just hold and wait for NZD-USD. There's no possible trade for NZD-USD right now. On USD Cad, general trend was a change to sell last month of February. So on H4, it became buy already around this time, around Friday, but Monday last week up to Thursday it's a sell, as we can see. So let's analyze it for last week. This is the trend for USD CAD. So if here's the sell, this was February 23, Tuesday. Our Fibonacci would be until here. So 50 Fibonacci is around this point, so it wasn't hit. So it's not, there is no valid entry for USD CAD. And for this week, let's still wait for USD pairs because there's no passive trade for that pair as of now. For USD-CHF, general trend at the first day of February is buy. On H4, it was buy since last week too. So on H1, there was actually buy here on USD-CHF. So if we would plot this was a Friday. So our Fibonacci would start on Wednesday, then Thursday, up to here. So as we can see, it was below 50 Fibonacci. This is the closing price for USD-CHF, which is here. So if we would take profit on USD-CHF, our take profit is 40 pips for last Friday. And for today, there is still no valid entry because it's still part of the trend that we have last Friday on USD-CHF. So for USD-JPY, let's check USD-JPY. General trend for USD-JPY is buy. For H4, I know there was a trade last week too on USD-JPY. So this is the H4 for USD-JPY. The only buys for USD-JPY. And on H1, it was a buy around this time. So our only possible entry is on H4 USD-JPY. So if you would plot the Fibonacci, it would be like this. So no entry. I thought there is one moment. I remember I gave a signal on USD-JPY. Why can't I see it right now? I can see it on our Telegram group. One moment, everyone. Let me check the Telegram group. Because as far as I remember, there was a USD-JPY trade. Why am I not seeing it? To our users who are on our Telegram group, do you guys have an entry on our USD-JPY last week? Because I know there was a signal on this pair. Why can't I see it? Anyway, let's just you guys can just check the USD-JPY that time. Did I not send the chart of my USD-JPY last week? USD-CHF. One moment, everyone. February 17 and 18. Oh, that was two days ago. Okay. This was the setup was 2 days ago. So on February 17 and February 18. February 17. Am I right? February 17, 18. And this is the buy signal. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. One moment. Let me close this one. So the buy signal was on Monday. That's why it's a little bit hard to find. Yeah. This is what I am talking again, like the GBP pairs that I discussed before. Because the simple technique, the technique that I'm teaching is first I'll discuss it thoroughly again. We will check the D1 time frame, which is a buy signal, and H4 was a buy during this time where I plotted. This is buy until the time. Then H1 last Monday there was a buy, which is here. This was Monday last week, and we would plot our Fibonacci 2 days prior, so it would be like this. So if you would enter our trade, it should be below 50 Fibonacci, and as we can see, this is below 50. This is below 50 Fibonacci, but unfortunately on H4 there was it became sell already, and it's below zero. It's below zero Fibonacci. So either you could already exit here on USDJPY, or you can still wait for USDJPY to reverse. Because if ever you didn't hold your trade, you would be positive. You would take your profit at 53 pips for USDJPY, and if you didn't exit, actually you are positive 94 pips. But if we followed our strategy, we are negative on USDJPY by 63 pips. But actually for me, as we can see, USD pairs are not as crazy as GBP pairs. So if you really have proper management, this would be a lot better to hold. But since if we wanna follow we really wanna follow the rule, we are negative 60 pips for USDJPY. But as I always said, it's about the general trend. What I'm only teaching is the basics of on how to use it for us to really follow it. But if we know the general trend for USD, like the GBP pairs, actually this is not the USD. I know it's the JPY pairs is really weak for USD JPY. It's really weak. There could be really some time or some point that if you have the courage, or you think that you can still hold your trade, since negative it's only negative 60 pips, not even 100 pips, at times it's really valid to hold this kind of trades. Just hold it, and it's part of trading. If only if ever, because usually these are for advanced traders who really know how to hold their trades, because there are some who are not used to it, or if you don't really know how to hold your trades, sometimes even the general trend, if you enter the general trend because you don't have proper money management and you think you can hold your trades, even you are on the general trend, at times it could be lost, and that could be lost too for us in USDJPY. But if we follow the general trend as usual, it would yeah, most of the time we could still take profit on it. We could still make profit out of it as long as we are entering the general trend. This is how important D1 is. That's why I always keep on saying we should use H1. I mean D1, because D1 time frame is for the whole month's movement. It's I'll discuss it already. Because D1 time frame is the general trend for that whole month, for the whole month of February, or for the past 4 weeks. That's why it means if it's the past 4 weeks, it's the overall trend for the next 4 weeks. So you should expect at least to hold your trades for at least a month. And actually, it's not even a week, and the trend is with us already. It's just less than a week, and USDJPY is on our trend again. That's why D1 is very, very important. But I'm just only telling you the H4 to exit, because H4 is actually the weekly time frame. It's like the you will hold your trade within a week. That's the duration, around a week or less. On H1, it could change any day soon, or the next day, or sometimes it could change a lot within that hour, or anything. But you can that's why you can base your trade on H1. That's why D1 is really, really important for us to know the general trend. That's why we always use D1 time frame. And H4 is just like the confirmation, and H1 would be our entry. That's why we only use these three time frames. D1 is the general trend. That's why if ever it reverse, you have reasons to hold the trade. For H4, it could change any time of the week. And for H1, within the week or within a day, it could change simultaneously. That's why if we are on the D1 time frame, we know that we are on the general trend. It's still possible to hold your trades. And yeah, but for us, with our technique that I'm teaching, we are negative. But if you guys have to hold the trades and are really confident, because we are riding the trend, there could just be some retracements for this pair, but the general trend will always be followed by the market. And as we can see, it became buy eventually, because yeah, it's only 170 pips actually for the whole week. Last week until this week, the range of USDJPY is 170 pips for some traders. Actually, 170 pips, maybe of course, if you are scalping, holding 170 pips is really big. But if you are a day trader or swing trader, it would be normal for you to hold this kind of trades, because as we know, forex could really you could be really rich, very rich, or quickly very rich, so fast on foreign exchange. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword where you could just lost everything within a day or within a week on foreign exchange. But if you would take it slowly, and you are used to holding this kind of ranges, 100 pips or 200 pips, it would be fine. You could still turn your trade into a good profit eventually. And I'm not really telling this or teaching this that much, because not everyone can hold their trades or have the patience to hold their trades. Because there are times, I personally, at times, I very seldom though, I hold my trades for a month or 3 weeks. There are trades that I'm holding as long as that. And imagine how many reversals or how many pips am I holding. And it's part of money management to hold your trades. And if how that's how patient you are to hold your trades for a month at least. And a week is nothing actually if you're so used to holding your trades already. But as usual, money management is really, really important, and we should always follow the general trend. So that's it for our webinar, and I hope for this week, as we can see, there are good setups, a lot of good setups for this week. If we are negative or break even last week, it's fine, because this week is could be our week. And this week, as we can see, there are some few pairs that could give us a lot of target profits already. Again, as far as I remember, the trades for those who are late and are still watching our webinar, the possible entries for this week that I gave, some are GBP JPY. I know GBP CHF2, some NZD pairs like NZD JPY. Once this one change, and once this one changed, you can enter a buy soon. But for GBP JPY, I know you can still enter GBP JPY right now, even if you're late. It's still possible. Even for GBP CHF, who entered our signal last Friday, and until to now, and up to now who are here, you can enter these pairs already. GBP-CHF and GBP-JPY. GBP-NZD is not valid and GBP-USD is not valid. So for GBP-CAD, what's this? Why is there a signal or a trade on GBP-CAD? For GBP-CAD again, oh no, no, no. Yeah, for GBP CAD, it's not valid yet. One moment, what's this? Oh, was just forget it. Nothing. So that's it for this week. Do you guys still have the any question for those who are watching us on our webinar? Do you guys have more question? Oh yeah, about the general trend that we always discuss. For this week, let's check the general trend for the 8 currencies. So USD is very, very strong. AUD is really, really weak. So let's check AUD USD. AUD USD. So AUD USD is a sell actually, but unfortunately on D1 it's still a buy. So no, there's no possible signals for AUD USD anytime soon. So EUR is still strong. GBP is still strong, but not as strong as last week that we've discussed. The 3 pairs that I only recommend is AUD USD, but unfortunately there is nothing on it on EUR AUD. So nothing still on EUR AUD. So most likely these pairs USD, EUR, and AUD are still on reversals, and we should still wait more for it to check the general trend. So for the MACD-CSM line, so these are all the lines for the for the signals. This is NZD. It just reversed from very strong. It could be weak, but let's see, because for the D1 time frame, NZD is still strong. Actually, it might just be a retracement for NZD pairs. For USD, it became strong on H4 already, but the general trend on USD, oh yes, on if you would check the USD, it became strong slightly. So anytime soon, this USD pair might become a buy already. But for now, it's still a possibility because on NZ on USD, yeah, sometime last week or last month it became positive. So there's a possibility that USD would be really strong for this coming month. So on EUR it was still strong. On GBP it was really strong, but I guess this was what happened on Friday. But the general trend for GBP is really, really strong. As you can see, it's still going up. It was weak last December, but until now, until February and March, it's still strong, the GBP pairs. So it's still really valid for buy. For AUD, it became weak last week. It was strong for a very long time, around first week of February. But since March, since February is ending, AUD is really becoming weak. For JPY, this is the JPY graph. It was still weak. It shows that it looks positive, but the general trend for JPY is still very, very weak. On CHF, let's check CHF. This is CHF. It may look very weak last week. It went up a little bit, but for H4, it's still neutral. The same as CAD, it's still neutral for CAD. NZD became neutral even it was very strong last week. So yeah, that's the general trend for uh, for all the 8 currencies. Do you guys have any question as of now? If you guys don't have any question anymore, this is it for actually last week and this week's webinar. I guess next week I'm still thinking of I'll move the webinar on a Monday where the market is open, or if ever most of the users are only available on weekends. And next week it's gonna be on it will be more available for users who lived in US, I guess, because usually on our webinar on a different time and on a different time zones, it's a lot easier for evening in London time. Our users who lives in US time zone would be able to join us on our webinar. If you guys don't have any questions, that's it for today. I'll be ending our webinar, and you can just simply watch the replay of our webinar on my Facebook group or on my YouTube channel. Have a good week, everyone. I hope you guys took the trade that I've told you. Have a good day.